friend. Well, good luck in the race. You're gonna need it to be Bart's sister.
Simpson.
Only by blood.
Tacitore!
No, per favore, ti prego, sono tuo amico.
Tu menti a Paolo!
C'è la ragazza è spazzatura per me. Spazzatura! No,
Non posso credere di averti lasciata alla polizia! E poi tutto io se come in farmacia americana. Una voce di cascosto. Flagella e amore. Alla testa una salicchio. You break my heart like snap at a breadstick.
Time doesn't heal anything. You just learn how to hide.
Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you.
Smart. They say time heals. Time doesn't heal anything. You just learn how to hide the pain better. Dead here. You walk through hell so many times. It starts to feel like home. One day, realize nobody's coming. Nobody's gonna move from it. That was the first death lesson. Burn. That's it. You would die. I stopped looking for a hand to hold a long time ago. Started building walls instead. Sharp ones. The kind that rip through big empty. Smiled by people who had knives behind their backs. Watched people I would have died or walk away like I was nothing. And went crazy. I still stood for them. Still breathing. Still feeling. Still watching their shadows disappear while the silence screamed louder than their lives. People think strength is muscles and noise. No. Strength is carrying your own damn coffin every day and daring the world to bury you in it. Strength is not reacting when your name is dragged, when your heart is broken, when your soul's on the floor, and your mind's screaming to let go. You don't break. You grind your teeth and keep walking like the devil owes you money. That's power. I learned the hard way. Nobody respects a good man until he turns cold. Nobody respects the loyal until he cuts contact. They only understand your value after they lose access. And that's the curse of being solid. You carry everybody until you realize no one's ever gonna carry you. You become your own savior, your own shelter, your own damn war. I ain't bitter, I'm real. There's a difference. Bitterness comes from weakness. Realness comes from survival. When you've tasted betrayal from the ones you protected. When you've been left in pieces after giving everything. That's not bitterness. That's awakening. That's when you start crying for them and start building yourself. Silence became concern. Pain became mental. And solitude became my power. They think I'm lonely. No, I'm focused. I got rid of distractions dressed as love. Cut ties with people who only came around when I was weak. I became allergic to consistency. Now if you shake my hand, then your soul is vain. I feel it. Energy don't lie. Smiles do. You think it's weakness to feel too much, to love too deeply? No, that's a warrior's curse. We fight hardest for the ones who throw us into battles. We bleed the most for those who wouldn't even carry our wound. But that's over. My empathy got limits. My kindness got conditions. My peace got a price. You can't sit at my table unless you brought scars too. If you've never been broken, you can't talk to me. You don't speak my language. I used to wait.
Extra confidence from a greenprint plan. Extra care from our people. It's more ordinary at Regions.
For apologies, for closure, for people to realize what they lost. But now, I move in silence. If you lost me, you lost loyalty, you lost realness, you lost a heart that would have gone to war. You lost something you won't find twice. That's your karma, not resistance. And the silence, that's where the transformation happens. That's where I became dangerous, not angry, not emotional, focused. I found my peace in the fire. I found my clarity in the chaos. And now, I don't seek revenge. I let karma eat with patience. I don't need to raise my voice anymore. My presence speaks. My absence teaches. You know what I realized? The strongest ones are always alone. Not because they want to be, but because they see too much, feel too deep, give too much, and expect too little. They're the ones who wipe their own tears in the dark and come out smiling in the light. They're the ones who'll save the world but drown in the silence. And nobody sees it.
Klarmachen zum Gefecht. Kraftfahrer bereit. Richtschütze bereit. Ladeschütze bereit.
For the noise, but for the storm I carry quietly. For the strength I build in isolation. For the chaos I survive without wings. That's my medicine. That's my revenge. That's my truth. I don't need the focus for that. They'll never understand what it costs to keep standing when the world's already falling apart. They see the strength, the silence, the control, but they don't see the war that builds.
Panzer. 12 Uhr.
They don't
Entfernung.
see the people wanting to keep surviving storms meant to kill me. They don't hear the internal screams when you realize the people you would have died for didn't even flinch watching from. That's the way that doesn't make you. It turns you into something else. Something recognize. Something sharp. You stop begging to be understood. You stop believing that people never learn how to heal. That's when the shit happens. That's when you go from a man who gave love to a man who's less honest. You see, there's no isolation. You start to hear things, not from the world, from yourself. You start realizing what you were chasing was the truth. It was just convenience, friend, manipulation. That friend just a shadow vanished in her light. I watched every fake soul fall away. And I didn't chase. I didn't squat. I didn't beg to stay. Because truth is, I was never hard to love. They were just too small to handle. They wanted shelter. They wanted ease. I gave them brains. I gave them my soul. And they gave me themselves. Watching from a distance. Watching the version of me they created. The one who stopped explaining. Stopped giving. Stopped showing. Let me tell you something about being loved. It's where the legends are born. It's where real men are forged. Anybody can smile and cry. Anybody can pretend to be tough when they got back up. But sit with your demons. Sit with your regrets. Sit with the silence that reminds you how many times you've been. If you can rise from that, you and anyone, or storm. And storms don't explain themselves. They come, they destroy, and they leave everything different. That's decay. That's who I want to become. Not because I wanted to, but because the world doesn't respect softness. It devours it. So I burned that softness and forged a new skin. Now I don't speak much. I am. Let silence do the talking, and trust me, silence speaks louder than love ever did. People look at me now, I changed. Damn right I did. They evolved. I shed skin after skin, pain after pain, rebuilding myself from ashes. So many times I started liking the smell of smoke. I don't trust easy anymore. I don't give access to people who haven't bled for me. My circle, down near a dot now. And I like it that way. No snakes, no liars, no energy leeches. Just me, focused, hungry, dangerous. I don't care about status. I don't need validation. I don't want love that's conditional. Give me loyalty or get out the way. Give me real or stay silent. And if you ever doubted me, good. Doubt built this. Disrespect fueled this. Every door slammed in my face just gave me bricks to build my own damn castle. Don't mistake my silence for weakness. Don't think for 1 second that I'm
Gefechtsbereitschaft herstellen.
Richtschütze bereit.
Ladeschütze bereit.
every insult disguised as a joke. Every promise that is broken. Every promise that runs deep. I just don't react the same anymore. I let time expose what my words never could. I let harm finish the conversations I walked away from. And you know what? That's the real. Walking away is broken. Choosing peace when you earn revenge. That's a struggle they'll never understand. Because it takes so much using that I chose to build instead. Build in the silence. Build in the pain. Build in the kind of discipline that turns wounds into weapons. Don't eat crowds. Don't cheaters. Don't eat bombs. Because I was born to. Because God made me this way. Build different. Water or solitude. Storms. Goats. While they try to figure me out. While they sleep. Build. While they sleep. Let them talk. Let them get. Let them pretend they're ahead.
Entfernung.
Let those. Don't comment. Don't try to act like you always believed in me. Ain't bitter. I'm just not stupid anymore. I gave too much. I loved too hard. I forgave too fast. That version of me is gone. He died. What you see now is what I am. The world. Need a trophy. I am the proof. The proof that even after the betrayal, the heartbreak, the silence, the abandonment, you can still rise. Stronger, bolder, smarter, alone, but never broken. That's what makes me different. That's what makes me dangerous. That's why they whisper when I walk in. Because they know I was forged in a place they wouldn't last a day. They don't get it. They think being alone means you're broken. Being alone means I'm free. Free from fate, love. Free from expectations I never agreed to. Free from carrying evil, never strength. Walking from
Sprenggranate geladen.
I started showing it wasn't respect. I started over-explaining myself to the unafraid. And most of all, I started breaking myself to pieces to make others feel. Do you know how painful that is? Watching yourself crumble just so someone else can stand a little taller next to you. It's silence in that distance where nothing touches me. Because I learned every betrayal was a teacher, every heartbreak was a chapter, and every time someone left, I got better, not bitter, better. I upgraded, I cut dead weight, I stopped giving first chances, let alone second ones. I watched how people acted when I had nothing, when I was struggling, when my world was falling apart behind a smile. You know what I found? Most people love you until it's inconvenient, until your pain starts affecting their comfort. That's when they bounce. That's when the masks fall off. That's when you see them for what they are, seasonal, not solid. And once you learn that, you stop begging people to stay. You just hold the door open wider and let them leave quicker. I stopped being available for the draining, the confused, the selfish. I don't answer every call. I don't reply to every message. I don't entertain replaceable.
Gefechtsbereitschaft herstellen.
Because the
Kraftfahrer bereit.
truth
Richtschütze bereit.
is,
Ladeschütze bereit.
and that's not ego, that's man. People like me don't often loyal even after betrayal, soft-hearted even after heartbreak, surrounded by pain. It's rare. It's taken for granted. It's too available. So I made myself scarce. I made myself expensive. I made myself dependent. You don't just get, you earn. With loyalty, with consistency, with energy that doesn't shift.
12 Uhr. Im Nahbereich.
Let me tell you about loyalty. It's the last real currency left in this world. And it's bankrupt wherever you are. People will rob your winning, but disappear the second you fall. It's not loyalty. It's convenience. Because they ride through the storm. They eat. They don't avenge when it's bad. But how many of those have I? Maybe none. That's why I don't leave alone. That's why I don't dance with snakes in disguise. I became addicted to silence. Because silence showed me who I am. It stripped everything away. The lies, the noise, the people who pretended. What was left? A man made of fire and grit. A man who wasn't full, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. And stare in my head. It's not romance. It's mastery. It's what happens when you live. You start feeling hard because you've already survived. You stop. That's on the other side of fear, on the other side of emotion. Calculate, don't trust. I know who they are with time, and when they do, The demons we dance from, the pain carried. You ever seen a man with nothing left to lose? That's me. That's freedom. That's danger. Because I'm not afraid to start. I'm not afraid to lose people. I'm not afraid of those that choke me. Most of all, I'm not afraid to be misunderstood. That the misunderstood. That's all I want. I don't play games then. I don't like to play games.
12 Uhr.
I don't
Entfernung.
explain myself to the world. My emotions is safe. My time is gold. Every space you can earn. Because I know that the world's wrong. That was gold. Buried under the trail. Silence. It's like silence. Something good. Something wiser. Something that doesn't wait. Because I've already once. Jesus is mine. Most remember the exact moment they told me to stop. But they forgot how they left me. Even because I learned the hard way that people don't know presence. They only value absence. As long as you're always there, always available, always ready to give, they'll take you for granted. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you disappear, the moment you stop giving, that's when the questions come. That's when the fake apologies show up. Not because they love you, not because they care, but because they hate losing access to someone who made them feel important. It's not you they miss. It's the way you treated them. And I'm not in the business of giving out that kind of energy anymore. I don't love the way I used to. Not because my heart's gone, but because it's guarded now. It's been through too much. It's buried in armor. I used to believe that you just love people harder, deeper,
Ladestütze bereit.
stronger. They'd never leave. I was wrong. Love doesn't stop betrayal. Kindness doesn't stop disrespect. Loyalty doesn't stop abandonment. All it does is make you the perfect target for those who never learned in return. And once you realize that, something clicks. Something inside you changes. You stop offering it's a lifeline. You start offering silence that's about you. You stop trying to heal others and start taking yourself. That's where that's they call it hope. Let them. Because the warmth they took for granted is gone. It's dead. People love to talk about healing, but no one tells you that healing isn't beautiful. It's not peaceful. It's not soft music and journal pages. Healing is brutal. It's lonely. It's crying at 3 a.m. No one there to wipe your tears. It's waiting out with a heart so heavy it would sink children, and still showing you, still grinding, still healing is war, a silent where every step forward feels like dragging yourself through glass. But you keep going, not because it's easy, not because it's rewarding, but because there's no other choice. You either fight or you stay. And this far to stay broken. Let me say this loud. I don't want people around me to only check in when they look thinking they don't need temporary commitment. If you can't manage the energy of living, stay away. I've joined too many relationships by myself. No second chances, just one. I refuse to be drained again. People who don't know to sweat no one bleeding. I lose myself in silence. To every insight, every control, every step. People don't know the rage it takes to rebuild yourself from the day. They don't see the things you scream in your head just to get through the next day. They don't see the things you stare at your reflection and ask yourself, oh, you're still standing. I'm still standing because quitting ain't in my blood. Folding isn't in nature. You don't survive this kind of pain unless there's something primal in you. Something that refuses to die. Something that fights back, even with no strength. So yeah, I'm alone. But I'm solid. I don't second guess myself anymore. I don't look for approval. I don't search for belonging. I'm the storm needed. I'm the protector never. I'm the loyalty I used to beg for. I'm not looking to be saved. I'm the savior of myself, of my sanity, of my peace. That's what scares them. They used to control me with guilt, with emotions, with silence. But now, I control the silence. I weaponized it. I turned it into armor. And I'm quiet now. It's not because I'm weak. It's because I'm comfortable watching. The silence worth a word of done explaining, done defending, done making excuses. You failed me. You either conquer it or don't. I told you, I'm not hard to love. I was just too easy to use. And now, they warned you about it. lives with boundaries, who gives devotion, who trusts like a sleeper, slow, calculating only once. If you break it, it's done. Just silence. That's where the real ones live. In that silence. In that sacred, solitary space. Where the strongest always are. Not because they want to be alone, but because it's the only place that doesn't lie to them, doesn't use them, doesn't break them, just holds them quietly, and will stay there forever, never go back. They always said, you're too intense. Number unjust people. That's what bothers them. Not intensity is the absence of games, the absence of lies, the absence of small talk and fake smiles. It's the raw, unfiltered truth I carry in my chest like a weapon.
What are you taking?
They're used to surface-level conversations, empty promises, half-hearted connections. So when someone like me comes along, someone who sees through the mask, someone who doesn't just listen but hears, it terrifies them. Because you can't fake it around a man who's been through the fire. You can't sell illusions to someone who's lived through nightmares. That's why they leave. That's why they flinch. I became a mirror, and they hated what they saw in their reflection. You want to know what loneliness really is? It's not sitting in a room by yourself. It's sitting in a room full of people and realizing none of them truly see you. None of them understand the war you fight behind your eyes. That's real loneliness. When you smile out of politeness, but your soul is screaming for someone to just get it. And no one does. So you stop trying. You pull back. You become distant, cold, maybe, but not cruel. You're just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of hoping. Tired of giving people maps to your heart just to watch them get lost on purpose. So you stop giving directions. You build walls. You armor up. And now they call you heartless. Because you stopped letting them hurt you. But I'm not heartless. I've just learned the difference between love and dependency. Between support and manipulation. Between loyalty and obligation. I've seen what it looks like when people only show up when they need something. When their love is conditional, calculated,
Kraftfahrer bereit.
temporary.
Richtschütze bereit. Ladeschütze
You
bereit.
learn to read between the lines real quick when your peace has been used as a playground. And now I protect my energy like it's the last thing keeping me alive. Because it is. I don't let just anyone close. You gotta earn proximity, and most won't. Because most only know how to take. They don't know how to stay. I just ask, what's wrong with me? Why do people walk away? Why do they lie? Why do they use me? It wasn't me. It was the fact I saw them do me. I saw the cowardice behind their lies, the emptiness behind their joy, the weakness behind their anger. And people hate keep seeing it. So they leave. And I let them because I'm not chasing ghosts. If you can walk away from me, you were never meant to be near me. For everyone. Stop. They talk about real ones, but they don't run me. They want convenience rather than loyalty. They want access without effort. They want someone to fix them without facing themselves. Every distraction, every voice spoken, and in that silence, I found myself, the version others want, still to survive, real, what doesn't beg, what doesn't fall, what doesn't wait to be chosen. Because he already chose himself. It's the man who killed. There's no hope. Just as he years. Death in the world of ignorant surface. Intensity in the world of fierce emotion. Loyalty in a world that trades in like currency. So that it makes me too much. So be it. Too much. Than me then. Hollow. Aimless. The rate for me. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. One day when they're surrounded and still feel empty. The breaking of their silence and the world that made them feel whole. And remember them to war.
Panzer, 12 Uhr, Inferno.
To value their apologies. Because the struggles are only so long. They always come because they miss you. Because they miss the way they felt.
Panzer, 12 Uhr.
Space. don't live it. They preach love, but only when it's easy. Difficult. When you need something real, they vanish. Like you never meant a damn thing. So yeah, I got colder. I don't even deny it anymore. That softness, that openness, it's gone. And I don't apologize for it. Because the world doesn't apologize for what it did to me. It didn't say sorry when it broke me. It didn't send flowers when I buried versions of myself trying to meet expectations I never agreed to. It didn't cry when I cried. So I stopped crying for it. I stopped hoping. I stopped lowering my standards to fit into places that couldn't hold my worth. Now I build my own table. I sit with my own silence. And if I let you in, you better believe it's not by accident. It's because I saw something rare in you. Something real. But most of the time, I don't let anyone in. Because I trust patterns, not promises. I trust actions, not words. I trust pain, because pain never lies. You see, when you've been alone long enough, you start seeing everything differently. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing validation. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You just detach, quietly, slowly, ruthlessly. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand peace is more important than being right. More important than proving your worth to those who never saw it. More important than explaining yourself to people who already made up their mind about you. You get to a point where your silence becomes your shield, your sword, your language. You don't scream anymore. You whisper with your distance. You speak volumes without saying a word. That's power. That's the level they can't touch. I've tasted every shade of betrayal. I've looked into eyes I thought were home, only to realize they were just mirrors reflecting my desperation rather than me. No, it's foolish. You were only holding on until something better came along. I've loved people who treated my heart like an option. So don't ask me why I'm harsh. Don't ask why my ways are brutal, why my standards are cold. Because when you've been burned, you stop fighting patience for anyone who won't watch you from within. I've seen how next minute they ghost you. Loyalty was a seasonal trend. I'm done being surprised by it. People change, not because they grow, but because their souls filtered by gently. And if you can't bring them, don't come near me. I stopped asking for loyalty from people who can't even be honest with themselves. I stopped asking for love from people who only know what you take. I stopped asking for support from people who vanish every time the stars turn gray. I started relying on the one person who never
Since page.
me. Carrying things that should have ended me. I healed myself with no blueprint. Rose from ashes is my soul. Down with scars that understand. And come with your own walk the way they do. Like lost everything and survive. That kind of survival builds a different breed, a different soul, a different vibe. You don't beg, you don't explain, you don't cringe, you move different, you think different, you want to be sentence. You let you don't want these anymore. Just disappearances. And then feel it. Maybe not today. Maybe not today. The silence you leave will echo louder than any goodbye ever. So let them say you changed. Hold you harmless. Let them hate you as the villain. Never admit they turn you loose. That their selfishness, their innocence, their betrayal. Will keep different. Everything they see is the they see it. Every time they realize the case they can't head down, strong, energy sacred, eyes that don't flinch anymore. Find us in the world and just, you know what they don't tell you, being strong. It's not a choice, it's a sentence. It's waking up every day when your soul is tired and your heart's heavy, and still putting your feet on the ground like nothing's wrong. It's not having the luxury to break down, because no one's gonna pick up the pieces if you do. It's carrying weight that wasn't yours to carry. It's putting yourself back together silently, because no one even noticed you were falling apart. Being strong means suffering in silence. It means bleeding behind a smile. It means becoming your own damn hero every single day, because no one else ever showed up. And after a while, you stop expecting them to. You stop looking at your phone, waiting for someone to check in. You stop thinking that someone will read between the lines of your life. You stop
Klarmachen zum Gefecht. Kraftfahrer bereit.
because you finally
Richtschütze bereit.
understand
Ladestütze
that
bereit.
some people don't love you. They love how you love them. They don't care about your scars. They just care that you're still standing and moving forward. When you finally collapse with the weight of it all, they disappear. They go quiet. They tell themselves, be strong, be okay. It's the curse of strength. You become so good at surviving, they forget that you're human. But I remember everything. They've been wiped out. Everything that every fake here. And there's hateful silence. Every hand I held that it's what they observe and measure things. And if you fail, chances it's been purified. Pain. Betray. Don't give it to just anyone. There's peace.
12 Uhr.
Fix everything. You finally serves sense. You start to believe. You start walking screams. Your distractions. Doesn't reach the fire you carry inside. People don't like that. They want the version of you that was soft, forgiving, the version they manipulate, afraid, disappear on and return to. It's dead. Every ounce of my being, I held funerals in silence for every piece of me. Innocence. Now I walk ghosts. Remind me daily who I can't afford to be again. The strongest are always the because they lack and because they value it too much to admit sleep, because they hate people, because they've seen what people and given themselves to them. They twist it, take from it, leave it empty, and then walk away. Realize that silence is a language, that is a response, that distance is protection, and that sometimes it's all something just vanished. Watch the as they lost something.
sit there, look around, and realize you're surrounded, but you're still alone. Funny, that you can give people everything, your time, your heart, your loyalty, and all they do is step over it like it's garbage on the sidewalk. That's the joke, right? You walk with them, laugh with them, even bleed for them. And the second you trip or slow down, they leave you behind like you were never there to begin with. Let me tell you something that no one wants to admit anymore. Most people don't value you. They value what you give. And once the giving stops, so does the pretending. That smile, fake. That concern, temporary. That friendship, conditional. You don't really matter to them. You just matter to what they can take from you. And the moment you stop playing your role in their little play, the moment you stand still and ask, hey, what about me? They vanish, ghosted, erased, like you were never real to begin with. And they know, they know how bad it hurts. Because you thought they cared. You thought walking with them meant something. But truth is, you were walking alone the whole damn time. What's worse than being alone? Pretending you're not. You see, I think being alone is the worst thing in the world. They rushed into rooms, into crowds, into fake friendships just to avoid hearing the sound of their own silence. But let me tell you what's worse than standing alone. It's standing next to someone who doesn't give a damn whether you fall or fly. It's laughing with people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. It's sacrificing yourself for people who wouldn't cross a puddle for you. That's hell. That's betrayal in its rawest form. And yet we keep doing it. Why? Because we want to be seen. We want to matter. We want someone, anyone, to say, I see you. Sure. But here's the brutal, filthy, ugly truth most people choke on. Everyone who stands beside you is with you. Some just want your warmth, your light, your attention, your resources. And once they've drained you dry, they toss you to the wolves and say you were always too difficult, too sensitive, too intense. They'll twist your loyalty into weakness and your kindness into a flaw. By the time you realize the game they're playing, it's too late. And they're long gone, already feeding off someone else. So what now? What do you do when the people you stood for never stood for you? Do you shrink? Do you chase? Do you beg them to see your worth? No, you don't. You rise, alone, cold, silent. You walk away from the crowd, even if it hurts, even if it bleeds, even if it means nights staring at walls. Excuse me. Because here's the power in staying alone. It's real. It's raw. It's you. No masks, no leeches, no fake handshakes. You finally get to see who you are without the noise. And that silence, that emptiness, it becomes your training ground. Your solitude becomes your rebirth. Because the ones who walked away, they never deserved to walk beside you in the first place. And the moment you realize that, The moment you accept that not everyone deserves access to you, you become dangerous. You become focused, unbreakable. You stop explaining yourself. You stop apologizing. You stop lowering your voice just so someone else feels tall. And don't let them come back. No. When they see you alone and glowing, when they realize you didn't fall apart like they hoped, they'll try to creep back in with old jokes, with fake apologies, with that I missed you act. Let them knock. Let them cry. Let them scream. But don't you open that damn door, because they chose to leave when you needed them most. They chose silence when your soul screamed. And now you choose peace. Let them feel the loss. Let them drown in their own guilt. That's the consequence of mistaking loyalty for weakness. That's what they get for treating a blessing like it was disposable. And maybe, just maybe, the silence you gave them will be louder than any scream they ever deserved. You know what's twisted? People don't realize they had something priceless until they're staring at an empty space they can't refill. And by then, it's too damn late. They'll replay the moments you stood there, giving everything without asking for much. They'll remember the times they made you wait, ignored your messages, brushed off your feelings, and they'll try to convince themselves it wasn't that bad. But deep down, they know. They know they messed up. They know they took advantage. They know they had someone who was real in a world full of fake. Someone who listened without judgment, stayed without reward, and gave without conditions. And they threw that away like it was nothing. Why? Because they thought you'd never leave. They believed your kindness was eternal, your patience bottomless, your loyalty unshakable. But everything has limits. Even the purest heart has a breaking point. Even the softest soul gets tired of being walked on. And the day you finally choose to walk alone, that's the day they lose access forever. That's the day you stop being the background character in their story and start becoming the main character in your own. People love to talk about how they miss the old you. But what they're really saying is they miss the version of you that tolerated their disrespect. They miss the fool who kept forgiving, kept answering, kept giving them another chance for another damn chance. They don't miss you. They miss the control. They miss the benefits. They miss the warmth they never earned. But they don't miss you because they never saw the real you to begin with. They were too busy using you to look deeper. They were too selfish to ask what you needed. And now that you've changed, now that you've gone quiet, now that you've built walls and burned bridges, they're lost. And good. Let them stay lost. Let them wander. Let them regret. That's the price of playing with something pure. That's the tax of betraying someone given you. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't even owe you owe yourself peace. And peace starts the moment you stop looking. And yeah, It's not easy. Walking alone means very It's dark. It's heavy. There are days where you're staring for fun, hoping it lights up. Mornings where your chest feels like it's being dangerous. If you were ever truly, but that pain, that's the withdrawal from fake love. It's the detox from people who drain basic. No shortcuts, no distractions, no going back. Fight through it, minute by minute, screen by screen, until you come to the other side harder, smarter, older. That's what growth is. It's love. It breaks you, but it builds something better from the wreckage. You become someone who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, who doesn't explain their worth to people too blind to see it. You stop auditioning for roles in people's lives you were never meant to play in the first place. You realize that the people who truly value you don't need to be convinced. They just know. They show up. They stay. They respect. And until you find those people, if you ever do, you walk alone with your head high. See, when you're alone, you're dangerous. Because you're focused. You're sharp. You're not distracted by drama or approval or fake connections. You're not out here proving anything to anyone. You've already proved it to yourself. You survived what they thought was destroyed. You kept moving when everyone expected you to collapse. You didn't fold. You didn't become bitter. You became wise. That's what standing alone teaches you. It teaches you to build your own table instead of begging for a seat at someone else's. It teaches you that silence isn't weakness, it's control. It teaches you that everyone deserves your story, your energy, your presence. Some people less than lifelines. And once you love, it's immediately clicks in your bones. You stop clinging. You stop explaining. You stop needing people to make you feel like too much. Because you finally understand. It's better to walk alone than people who always find the way to use you. They'll try to rewrite the story later. You get accountable. Once they see you glowing without them, thriving in the same silence they once used to ignore, they'll come crawling back, but not as themselves. No. They'll come with a mask. One made of guilt, dressed up in nostalgia, wrapped in excuses like, I was going through a lot, or, and the last one. And you'll feel that sting in your chest. The one that wants to believe they finally get it. But don't fall for it. Because if they valued you, they would have fought for it like that. Not after the damage was done. Not after they saw you pull yourself from the wreckage they helped create. Sudden clarity they have. It's not love. It's loss. It's them realizing they no longer have access to what they once provided. It's not regret for what they did. It's regret that you're no longer there to tolerate. You, silent, holy, quiet, it's the unsure here. You walk through hell with no guide, no support, and no safety, and still make it. You know what most people fear? Being hated. What they fear is being forgotten, being irrelevant, being replaced. They don't expect you to stop needing them. They think they're unforgettable, irreplaceable, untouchable. And when you prove them wrong, not with revenge, with drama, but with complete silence, that's when the panic hits. Because now you're no longer feeding their ego. You're no longer playing their game. You stopped trying to prove your worth to people who couldn't see it with a flashlight in the dark. And that's terrifying to them. Because now they see your value. Too late. Now they hear your silence. And it's louder than anything you ever saw. Afar, stalking your peace, leaving the energy they once treated like it was nothing. But they can't reach it anymore. Because you finally realized the truth. They didn't deserve a front row seat in their life. Hell, they didn't even deserve to stand at the door. That's the shift that changes everything. When you stop basing your worth on how others treat you. When you stop begging for love that should have been given freely. When you stop explaining to people who never care to understand. You start walking alone. And for the first time, the road makes sense. You see clearly. And you realize something powerful. You are enough. Without the crowd. Without the validation. You're enough because you're still here. After everything. After every betrayal. Every silence. Every fake smile. Every broken promise. You're still standing. Still moving. Still fighting. That kind of resilience, that's not common. That's not average. That's rare. And they'll see it too. Once you stop giving them access. Once you stop explaining yourself. Once you stop letting them in. Just because they used to be close. Let them knock. Let them regret. But don't you ever shrink again for the comfort of cowards who couldn't handle your full light. You were never too much. You were never too intense. You were never the problem. They just weren't ready for someone who loved real. Someone who stood tall while everyone else played small. Someone who stayed loyal in a world full of backstabbers. That kind of presence, it scares weak people. They don't know how to handle realness because it exposes their fakeness. And instead of leveling up, they try to drag you down. But you didn't stay down. You learned. You rebuilt. And now you don't just stand alone. You stand unshaken. And that's where your power is. Not in how many people you keep around, but in how fearless you are when there's no one left. When you still choose peace over attention, solitude over fake company, dignity over cheap. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you unforgettable. And they'll carry that regret like a shadow they can't outrun. You ever notice how they start watching you the moment you go quiet? Not when you were breaking down. Not when you were screaming for help. Not when you were drowning while they stood there holding the rope. No, they start watching. When you finally stop explaining, when you stop reaching out, when you stop showing up for people who never showed up for you, that's when they notice. That's when it hits them. Because silence is a language they were never prepared for. They knew how to manipulate your kindness, twist your words, play with your emotions, but they don't know how to handle your absence. That's where your strength lives now. Not in shouting, not in begging, but in walking away, head down, jaw clenched, fists scarred, and heart cold. Because you've realized something they hoped you'd never understand. Not everyone who stands beside you is on your side. Some people walk with you just close enough to benefit, but never close enough to bleed with you. They want your light, but not your pain. They want the fire without the burn. And when things get real, when it's time to show loyalty and depth, they vanish. Or worse, they betray. And you sat there, didn't you? Night after night, wondering what you did wrong, replaying conversations, blaming yourself, trying to figure out what you missed. But you didn't miss anything. They just didn't value you. That's it. That's the whole truth. You were too much for people who wanted too little. You offered depth to those drowning in shallow waters. And when they couldn't rise to your level, they tried to convince you that you were the problem. But you weren't. You were just ahead of them. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They couldn't match your loyalty, your intensity, your consistency. And instead of admitting they couldn't keep up, they tried to dim your light. That's what weak people do. They break what they can't control. But you didn't stay broken. You picked up every piece, quietly, slowly, on your own. And now you shine brighter than ever. Not because they bring you up, but because they tried to put you out and fail. They're gonna help the new you. The quiet you, the unbothered you, the version of yourself that doesn't flinch at their name, doesn't check your phone hoping for closure, doesn't crack open old wounds just to feel something familiar. You've evolved, you've hardened, you've become exactly what they thought you never would, untouchable. And they'll call you cold, distant, change, different, change. Pain does that, betrayal does that. Realizing you were surrounded by people who only fought when it benefited them, that changes you. And thank God. Because that pain birthed a monster they can't chill. But because you finally learned to protect your energy. You learned that being alone doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're done. For a place of teammates you built. For people who couldn't make her
Panzergranate geladen. Maschinengewehr geladen.
grown as think yourself for those who never deserved you in the first place. Now look at you, standing alone, still breathing, still building, still fighting. That's yours. You earned it. Every sleepless
Panzer, 11 Uhr.
and said,
Panzergranate geladen.
it's the smartest thing in the brain. It's the whole thing for this game. Loving you was a chore. You no longer chase people who sprinted at the first sign of your vulnerability. You're walking alone, yeah, but you're walking free. And that kind of peace, that kind of freedom,
Flieger,
that's
12 Uhr. Entfernung.
nice. That's rare. That's oh, they'll never get back. They'll pretend like they don't care. That's the first move. They act like your absence means nothing. Like you were replaceable. Like you were just another name in their contact list. But behind that cold mask, they're burning. Because deep down, they know exactly what they lost. They know they'll never find someone like you again. Someone who would have walked through fire just to keep their storm calm. Someone who didn't just show up, but stayed, even when it was hard. You were the kind of soul that people pray for and then destroy out of boredom or insecurity. And once they realize they've lost access to that kind of rare loyalty, the panic starts to creep in, quietly, slowly, like a shadow crawling across the wall at midnight. They'll watch everything you do now, not because they love you, but because they need to confirm the thing they fear the most. That you're better without them, that you healed, that you moved on, that their presence was never your oxygen, it was just smoke. And now that the air is clean, now that you're breathing again, they feel suffocated by their own guilt, by their own silence, by the mess they made and the distance you finally built. But here's where it gets dark. They won't admit it. They won't text you that long message saying they were wrong. They won't knock on your door and fall to their knees. No, their pride won't let them. So they'll try to trigger you. Watch for it. A random like on your post. A story view at 3 a.m. A friend they send to check on you. Little things, desperate things, but don't fall for it. That's not closure. That's not redemption. That's fear. That's them realizing they fumbled something real, and now they're trying to get just a taste of your light again, even if it's from the sidelines. They'll never admit how much it kills them that you don't react, that your silence is colder than any insult they could throw, that the new version of you, the one they helped create, is no longer available for manipulation. That's the real revenge. Not shouting, not cursing. Silence. Because silence tells them you no longer care to explain your worth. You no longer need them to understand. You've moved past needing validation from people who needed you more than they ever admitted. And now you look back and you're not angry. Not anymore. You're just done. That's the scariest kind of peace. When you no longer wish them harm, you just wish them gone. Out of your head, out of your space, out of your future. That's what happens when you evolve. You stop engaging. You stop hoping. You stop waiting. And the moment you stop waiting for someone who never showed up, you win. That's the lesson. That's the punchline. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong people. You were trying to pull loyalty out of users. Trying to build a future with people who were only passing time. But now, you get it. You've seen behind the mask. You felt the weight of their absence. You've heard the silence, not as peace, but as truth. And you learned to let it teach you, not break you. You learned that walking alone isn't punishment. It's freedom. It's clarity. It's rebirth. Because every step you take without them is a step away from the lies, the games, the disrespect. And with each step, you find yourself again. Not the broken version, not the exhausted one, the real you. The one they never deserved to meet in full. There comes a moment in every real one's life, a cold, quiet moment, where you stop asking, why did they do this to me? And you start saying, thank God they showed me who they really are. That shift, that's where your power begins. Because it's no longer about them. It's no longer about what they did, what they said, how they lied, or how they vanished. It becomes about you, about what you tolerated, what you gave, and what you will never allow again. That pain you felt, that wasn't weakness. That was your wake-up call. A brutal, unfiltered revelation that not everyone you call friend, love, or family is worthy of those titles. You were trying to water dead roots, trying to save people who were busy setting fire to everything you built. And when you finally let go, when you finally stopped trying to hold on to what was already rotting in your hand, that's when the healing started. That's when the fog began to lift, and you saw the truth clearly for the first time. They never loved you the way you loved. And that's not your fault. That's their failure. They'll tell people, you changed. Of course they will. Because the new you doesn't serve their narrative. The new you isn't available for late-night venting sessions that end with them disappearing again. The new you isn't bending over backward to fix problems they created. So they'll paint you as cold, heartless, fake. But that's just noise. Let them choke on the version of the story they created. Because deep down, when they're alone with their thoughts, when the lights are off and the world is gone, they know the truth. They know they lost someone who saw them, who listened, who showed up, who stayed. And they'll remember how they watched that person walk away without slamming. message they'll never forget. Love you. Making you carefree. And you still make it like nothing. So now, I give you. You see, they throw you. No matter how bad they mess up, they'll always come back. They play the victim, twist the truth, just to keep that going. But not this time. Not anymore. You were the promise. It was never about begging for their love. It was about remembering your own. You were the standing one with a it's unfair. The one who listened while your own soul was screaming. When they couldn't match that energy, they told themselves, you were too much. You weren't too much. They were just not enough. And now you've raised the bar so high they can't reach you anymore. Not because you're above them, but because they refuse to grow. That's the hard truth. It rips the illusions. It forces you to face people for who they really are. Not who they are. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. That you were in love with potential. In love with the version of them they never became. And they use that against you. They knew you were loyal to their potential, not their reality. So they wore masks, told truths, played them off, until they didn't need you anymore, until they thought they were. Life has a way of turning tables. And now you're the one they can't reach. You're the one with your energy locked down, your heart armored, your mind sharp. Proving your worth anymore. You're not explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand. You're not begging for closure. You are the closure. Innocence is the message. Your silence is the lesson. Your peace is the revenge of yourself. And don't for 1 second don't let the fleet smiles be social with don't let the stories, the cheap substitutes they cling to distract you from the reality they're choking in a free-stable night. See, people can replace your presence, but they can't create your energy. They can try to live with your patience, your faith, and loyalty. But it's the same. Because you weren't just a person in your life. Love without limits. Move without wasteful and live with that. You carry it like a ghost. Because once you walk away, once you decide to protect your peace instead of saving them, you become a memory they replay every time they face someone who only gives them half of what you gave fully. And that's the part they'll never admit out loud. That's the weight they'll carry in private. Because even if they move on, even if they smile and laugh and post like they're free, they know. Deep down, in those silent moments when they're alone with their regrets, they know they had something real, and they destroyed it. They know they traded gold for dust, and they'll spend the rest of their life pretending that dust shines the same. But you're done pretending. You're done playing small just to fit inside rooms where you were never truly welcome. You're done being the glue in relationships where no one else even tried to hold the pieces. You've outgrown that life. You've outgrown fake apologies, temporary loyalty, and people who only love you when it's easy. And it's not bitterness. It's not revenge. It's wisdom. It's knowing your value so clearly now that you refuse to negotiate your worth ever again. That version of you, the one who begged, who hoped, who waited for people to see your heart, that version died. And in its place stands someone stronger, colder, wiser. Someone who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't break at the first sign of loneliness. Someone who walks alone, not because they have to, but because they choose to. Because now you know, peace is better than chaos, dressed as companionship. You spent too long trying to fix people who broke you, too long hoping the ones who hurt you would suddenly heal you. But no more. Now you fix yourself. You hold your own hand. You protect your own energy. And if someone wants to be part of that, they earn it. With consistency, with respect, with actions that don't need explanations. And if they don't, then they watch from a distance like the rest of them. Because once you learn what it feels like to walk in your own power, you never let anyone drag you back into weakness again. They had their chance. They played their game. And now, the game's over. You're not coming back. Not to explain. Not to fix. Not to reminisce. You're not a second chance. You're not a backup plan. You're a closed door with the lock changed and the key destroyed. And that's exactly how it should be.